Vagina pussy. So it's full moon, so guys, just be careful. A lot of girls cycle with the moon, and so you know, sometimes you get trouble. Also, you know, you don't want to be the click commander like Patrick here, and then, you know, get a, you know, you're like, this tastes like iron, rust. It's because you're eating menstrual blood. But yeah, Sherry was helping me with this, and then she didn't really say anything that it was tipping over, and then it tipped over, and so I ended up yelling at her. But, you know, it's still fine. But this is kind of cool because you get to see the inside. So you can see that that's just a core, and then this is the steel laminate part, and it goes all the way around up here. Here's where the coil is, and then it comes to the top, and then it has another core right there. See? And so when you send a pulse through it, that's what charges the magnet. So I'm not even going to be running power through this. I'm just going to use it passively as the magnet, as the core. So, but yeah, this fell down, and so it's going to be a little chore to get it up, but we'll do it. So, but yeah, I kind of, you know, the roof is not so great, and it pulled the tar paper off. I guess the guy that put the tar paper on didn't put it on good enough, and it all came off in a couple storms, and it's now leaked, and then this got soft, and then it squished. So, but you know, I would love to be prepared. I just don't have the time or the money. I spend it all on speaker parts. See, I bit off more than I could chew. So it's not the worst thing in the world. I could have much worse problems. I could be a Haitian immigrant being chased by the fucking border patrol on horses. Jesus Christ. So these used to be BNC PA speakers. What were they? BNC speakers made in Italy. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know. They used to be PA speakers. They got dropped off by field services. And because I made friends with that guy, I did a repair for him. He did a repair for me. And then he's like, do you want these? I was like, yeah. I go, what do you guys do with them? He goes, we just throw them away. I was like, I'll take them. So the motors, I saved the magnet, because those are getting more and more rare for me. And so then I took the steel, and then I just added these guys. This whole pallet is just top washers, but they happen to have this size opening, and so they're about that big. And then the boys bolt them. Well, actually they run them through the grinder, the surface grinder, to make them flat, and so then they make really, really good metal to metal contact, and then they bolt them, and then they turn it. So, and then I forget, some sort of process like that, but now they're ready to be 4x4 motors. So, and then I got the top plates to match, and I added the 160 millimeter bolt pattern, so we can use the wide mouth, the big mouth detachable top assembly. So whoever orders a pair of 4x4 motors, you're going to get the BNC version. So, and then I have some other ones. These ones, the boys gave them to me. They forgot, I guess they forgot to turn them down, and they were like at 76.5 millimeter. They need to be at 75, and then I didn't know until I got to the very end when luckily I didn't magnetize them. So, but these are a pair of 5 stacks that are going to go on there. So one of them I had to pull the top plate off, but I went to go put it in there. I was like, hey. So this goes like that. Oh. And then it'll bolt up through the bottom, and then I'll put the top plate on, which is this. Oop. See, that's one from the BNC. It's still a little live. Didn't quite get hot enough, but it got hot enough for the glue to fail. And so, but I'll still keep this, and then I'll match it up with the other one that I saved, which is right there. And then I'll do like a double slug version. Here's what they originally look like. This is the older version, which used only 4 bolts. The newer version that we got uses 6. And then, yeah, see, this is actually a different model. So perfectly good steel. Probably not made in Italy. Probably made in China, but, you know, whatever. I think that's what I wanted to show you. Oh, Ricardo. Oh, the cliffhanger. Yeah, no, Ricardo went nuclear on me. We agreed at $300 to finish all this, which I still think I overpaid, but I was like, okay, I'll agree to that because it was trade. It wasn't a big deal. And then he said he was going to flip something for, to make real money, which I'm like, that's a good idea. That way you run it through the money amplifier. So I'm not a big fan of this, but whatever, it's a shed, it's done. And so anyways, I gave him like, I think my price on stuff in which I sell it for, which of course is half of the retail value at least, was like $419, which is of course more than what we agreed on. But he was a friend of a friend, and so I was like, okay. I think he wanted some extra tweeters or something like that, which was an extra $65, and I let him know that he was getting a really good deal. They cleaned up the shit, yeah, or at least most of it. That's a sock, some other shit, but he texts me and he's like, "You ripped me off. You fucked me. I read on the internet that you fuck people. Blah 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 blah." And so then I had to price them and show him what I gave it to him for, and then I had to send him a link. Or I didn't have to. I did, because I wanted to fucking prove a point to this motherfucker, this ungrateful piece of shit. Oh, that side's even worse. So the other thing was, he was force feeding me this used ass plywood, and I'm like, I don't need that plywood. I don't need your plywood. I said, use the T111 I got. I already have it. I said, I'm going to coat it with fucking elastomer coating, so it doesn't matter what it looks like. It's all going to be white anyway, whitewash. And he put the OSB on the side. He should have put it on the roof. He didn't. So I tried to do things his way, and his way sucked. And then when he complains, I'm like, this piece of shit, this motherfucker, this is a good jack shack right here. So yeah, totally missed the beam on those. So, but he's used to working on custom homes where he gets paid whatever it is, $30 an hour or something like that. So, and I said, well, I'll pay you $30 an hour, but it'll be in credit, and then of course you can go flip that stuff. So, but he sent me a nasty text that was all like mean, and was like, "You ripped me off, you fucked me." So then I sent him all the information, and then he realized I didn't fuck him. He's just a high expectation motherfucker. So then he calls me, and I'm like, I don't like to talk on the phone, just because I'm typically busy, and texting helps me keep track of conversations. I have about 100 conversations a day with various people, and so but I talked to him, and had a little mess with the storm. So anyways, he apologizes to me, but he gives me the old line, "Hey, I just got out of prison." I'm like, you're a savage, dude. Like, don't come back to me telling me you just got out of prison. Like, I'm supposed to know what the fuck that means. It's like, you don't have to shank people when you feel like you got ripped off. Not that you got ripped off, but you feel like you got ripped off. So, but it reminds me of this whole thing I'm dealing with my niece, where she feels like I called her a name, and I didn't, but she feels like I had bad thoughts about her, right? Which I did, because she was acting like a cunt. So, and of course I didn't say she was a cunt, but I, basically indicated that if the shoe fits, wear it. Because she was being a cunt, and nobody was saying anything to her. And she's such a good looking girl, I'm sure nobody's ever called her a cunt, except for maybe another girl. And of course that girl is bad and does, is a jerk, whatever. So, but you got to have people in your life that give you bad news. It's so funny, because most of life is bad news. It's not good news. It's called entropy. All of this will disappear one day. It will not be here. The universe will eventually just consume all of this and turn it back into stardust. So you got to understand how temporary this is and how temporary we are. And when you look at it from that perspective, it's like that sentiment I gave you on the Sunday sermon, like these are your last moments on earth, right? You don't know if you're going to die in 30 minutes from now. You don't know if you're going to die in 60 years from now. But these last moments, right? Because when you look at it from like the course of history, the 4 billion or whatever years the earth has been around, we're not even a dot. We're not even a speck of dust on that history. And that's our whole culture, right? So it's like, fucking make this count. Like, be nice to each other. Love one another. It's not hard. Think the best of one another. If somebody's going to fuck you, they're going to fuck you. There's typically nothing you can do about it. And even if you think you can do about it, many times you're doing it out of anger. And so you fuck that up too. So the best thing is just to surrender for the most part. Now, if you feel like you can do something and you can be constructive about it, right? Because I say that, and as soon as I say that, I think about Nerdy Girls and Parker, you know. So, but it, you know, luckily it worked out because Parker is the type of person that I thought she was. So, or he was, I don't know, whatever she wants to go by. Which is a low-life scumbag piece of shit that feels entitled. So, and she has the support of her parents. And that's, you know, that's their problem. So she's going to grow up to be a really bad problem for society in general. And what makes it worse is that she thinks she's smart. So I've never seen more. Somebody, I forget who said this. I've been studying them on YouTube. They said there's nothing worse than a smart person in society that doesn't realize how dumb they are. So there's a lot of people that have gone through college that have degrees, that are engineers, all that kind of stuff. And they're just dumb. They don't have any common sense. And you got to have common sense. Me too, sometimes. And, you know, like I remember somebody pointed out on the truck, you know, they said tie strap 101. Like my dad was not around. I was too young when my dad was around for him to teach me anything like that. So, and he was too busy at the time when I got older, about 12. He was too busy in real estate and all this other shit that he didn't have time for me. So, and of course he wasn't rich enough to have somebody around to teach me that kind of stuff, like a mentor, an older brother or an uncle or somebody like that. So, but yeah, well, you know, what's funny though, is that the way that my father raised me, I learned a lot, not by his example, but by all of his mistakes. Because I knew deep in my heart that things should be different. And it wasn't until later that I realized when I got in the Air Force, which was my first real time away from home. Well, I did the Hawaii stint, but like I knew that I couldn't go home, and I was stuck in the Air Force, and it wasn't awesome. And but you know, you look at the right side. I was in Hawaii. I had this cool chick I was married to, that was secretly running up phone bills that we couldn't afford by calling her dad because she felt scared. So there's always problems, and there's always things in your life, but you know, just handle them the best you can. And fuck, well, you know, when I look back on it, it was great. You know, like whenever they say, you know, I get my little discount at Home Depot or whatever, they're like, thank you for your service. I go, no problem. I got to guard Hawaii for 2.5 years. It wasn't such a bad deal. So, and it wasn't. I had super low rent, free electricity. What else? What else was awesome? Free health care. Even though, you know, like I told you, when I wanted to get that mold taken off my belt line, and then I get checked for butthole warts. Like, okay, who's the creeper here? You're investigating me like I'm some, you know, gay deviant, and you're the one looking at my butthole. So, but yeah, I just been super busy, guys, and thank you for your support. And oh, there is a video. Well, I guess I gotta make a video, but I can do it in this one. And, you know, I don't necessarily do a dedicated video just for one subject. And I do that for a reason. Number one, for time. Number two, because it's easier for me. And also, it's kind of a test for you whether or not you're paying attention to my fucking videos. So you have the luxury to have the spare time to even watch the video in the first place. And you can reverse it and watch it over and over again. So I just sold this one pre-sale to a guy in Oakland. But somebody had asked about how do you sew the leads to here. And one time, David Moore from PSI, he told me that what he does is he puts a pencil in there. So, and oh, that's what I wanted to show you, was from Phi. So some companies, I should say some builders, because not everybody is a company like me. I'm not a company. I'm not a corporation. Some builders use just non-leaded spiders because it's cheaper. And so then in this case, they did the same thing. Sorry, I was looking at the actual thing and not the screen. But they just use a little pencil, and then you can tack it on there initially. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. You can tack it on there initially with CA. And then you can go back and stitch it if you want. So of course the cone isn't in there in place, that, you know, and in China they glue it and then they stitch it as well. So, and you can see here on Phi they used, what does it say? It says this is a Q12D2. And they used CA everywhere. Yep, even on the bottom. So, yeah, again, these are only meant to last a year. I don't like to do that. So somebody sent me a dead motor I got to rebuild, and then I think that one is too. An American-based one. So I think that was it. Oh, well, the video is, they wanted to ask how do you attach them, and so the way that I do it when I have to do it by hand, I think I did this in another video where I solder to the voice coil lead, and then I do like a zigzag pattern back and forth, and I just glue to the top of each roll as I go. And if you get it consistent, you can actually do a pretty good job. So, but that's the way I do it. This way is the best way. It's also the most efficient because you use the least amount of material. So when you go zigzag, and I do big zigzags, typically you want to do smaller zigzags when you are closer, and then bigger as you get out. So, but there's multiple ways to solve this problem. Experiment, right? Put a carrot in your butt. You don't always have to peel it. So that's what I found out. And when you do peel it, it leaves flat spots, and then it has edges that, you know, don't feel great on your butthole. That's what I found out. So, and I share these words of wisdom with you so that maybe you'll integrate them into your lives and save yourself some fucking time. You know, when somebody gives you a shortcut or a life hack, fucking use it. Otherwise, what's the point? You know, you can't live 1,000 lives. You got one shot at this. Let's do our best. So, and there are so many of you that really have great potential and great skills, but you never get to use them. So that's one of my biggest fears, is that I have all these ideas for movies, and I'll never get to, you know, flesh any of them out, or, you know, all of them out. So, but, you know, I'm working at it, and that makes me feel good. So anytime you work at a goal, especially when you're working, again, this goes back to Jordan Peterson stuff. And again, this is not Jordan Peterson information. This is simply observation, that humans do best whenever they feel like they're accomplishing something, even if it's futile, right? Even if, you know, it ends up being a big waste of time. Again, it doesn't feel that way when you're doing it. In fact, many times you have camaraderie with other workers on the project, you know, and you feel like you're going somewhere, and you feel like you're doing something. It's very satisfying. So it's almost like that's what we're meant to do, right? As humans, almost like that's what we were designed for, because that's where we get our dopamine rewards. That, and anytime we're helping to make family, that's why orgasm feels so good, because that's your dopamine reward. Your body's like, good job nutting in that girl. You're like, okay. And then, you know, because your body thinks you just made a baby, even though, you know, it was a prostitute that you gave $100 to. And good thing you wore that condom, because when you pull out, she got that stinky smell on the end of your comment, and you're like, ugh, it's a bit of a skank. I'm not going to come back here, even though her tits are good. So then you go find another skank. That's what you do. You learn. You don't have to keep going back for the same abusive skank. Wish my dad would have told me that. He didn't tell me that. He just says, how does my dick taste? Motherfucker. Dick tasted pretty good, Dad. She had some really nice labias that I really liked. So there. And you're dead, and I'm not. I'm making woofers. I'm doing a good job, Dad. He's like, I'm proud of you, son. I'm like, I don't need your fucking rewards. I got my own rewards. And that's really what the secret of life is right there, is that you have your own rewards. This is your life. You decide how to spend it. You don't have to wait for other people's opinions, and you don't have to wait for other people's approval. This is like a really sacred conversation that normally you would have like with God, you know, or whatever your maker is or whatever it is. So have this conversation in your head. You're God. You're God of you. Decide what you want to do with your life. So I think that's a pretty good. You feel inspired? You want to go make woofers? Oh, that was a good one. That was a really good one. A little pressure on my prostate. I got to go empty it again. Yeah, that was not great because I'm like, I just emptied it yesterday, and I woke up this morning and the prostate's like, "What's up? What's up, bro? We're full. We made a whole bunch of sperms for you last night." I'm like, all right, I got to deal with this problem. So deal with your problems. Make prostate relief normal, right? Women's periods are normal, right? And PMS is normal, right? Men have a prostate, so empty that shit so it clears the clouds from your mind. Get the dragon's breath out, man, so you can see straight. You know, and if you have somebody to give you a handy, fucking go for it, you know? And if it's just you and another dude in a cell, fucking go for it. I don't care. It's not gay. It's only gay if, like, you know, you want it outside. Like, you know, when you have no other choices. When you have choices and then you still choose it, then it's gay. And then, even then, it's not bad. It just means you're gay. It just means you like to suck dick and stuff, you know? That's all. We need good dick suckers. All right, I gotta go. I get to work. Pack some shit. Love you guys.